What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of At Home with Mark. Last week was a week off because I had my 18th wedding anniversary and my 45th birthday, which is crazy. But this week we got season 8, episode 19. We only have a couple more episodes this season, but I've got my friend Jordan from MMK Electrics. Thank you so much for hanging out. Jordan's all the way in Alaska, so we're in very different time zones right now.
That's right. It's daylight
Yep.
all day long now. Oh, it's great.
I was gonna
Summer is amazing up here.
I was gonna ask you about that because my wife and I went to Iceland back in that might have been 2016 or something, and we went in June, so it was like that time of the year when the sun dips for like an hour kind of thing. And I was
Right.
like, man, how do people get used to this? Because I had friends when I was going to college that were from Alaska, and she used to tell me stories about how they would like go to the mall and the mall would be closed because they thought it was earlier than it was because of
Oh,
the
yeah.
sunlight. So, like, what is that like?
I've been up here for 11 years now, and I'm originally from Idaho. I don't know if you knew that, but I've
Oh,
been up
nice.
here for 11 years. And there was no I mean, you have blackout curtains. I mean, I got blackout curtains in the room here.
Mhm.
Where it really wasn't that big of a transition for me because of the blackout curtains. So you
Mhm.
can make when it's time to go to bed, you close the curtains and there's not a drop of sunlight coming in. And it wasn't that hard to overcome. For some people, it is hard, especially if you don't have the blackout curtains. But
Mhm.
for me, it really wasn't that big of a deal. It's just it is different. It was weird at first. Now I'm just kind of used to it. It doesn't. But yeah, it was a little different.
What is it like? So, how many months of the year is it like that? Is it like the whole summer long, or?
Yeah, all summer. Really, you start noticing those long, long, long days probably in, I'd say, middle of April, end of April. You start noticing that sun is still out at 10 o'clock at night,
Right.
right? And then it lasts up until uh, first of October, I would say, is when it really starts kind of tapering off. So you
Oh,
get
wow.
you get 4 or 5 months there of really long days, and then May and June and July are just awesome. You'd be out 3 a.m. in the morning, and it's super bright out, and you can go fishing all day long, literally all day long, and that's what
Mhm.
really makes it cool.
I was gonna say, like,
It's
how does that work with the fish? Because isn't there like a thing normally where people want to go fishing early in the morning when it's like dusk or like dawn kind of thing?
When I say fishing, I should emphasize salmon fishing.
Oh,
Salmon
okay.
fishing is totally different, and I'm like I said, I'm originally from Idaho. I grew up, fishing trout, rainbows and browns, and brook trout and things like that. And there is kind of like a morning time when you go fishing,
Mhm.
and then there is kind of a feeding time in the evening when you decide to throw your bait in the water.
Right.
But up here, it's salmon fishing, and I mean, we do have rainbows. We got huge rainbows in the Kenai River. People come from all over the world to fish rainbows in the Kenai in September after all the salmon run because their bellies are just full of eggs from the salmon. They just get huge, huge rainbows, big trophies. But when I say fishing, I'm pretty much meaning salmon fishing. And when the salmon are running, there's no set time when the fishing is better. We
Right.
operate more off the tide. When the tides come in, that's when the fish start running up the river. I'm not a fish biologist, but generally you kind of pay more attention to the tide. When that water starts rolling in, fish move up the river. That's when you want to catch them.
Okay, okay. My
Yeah,
brother-in-law is a huge fisherman, and I've gone out with him here and there, but nothing like crazy except out on like rivers and stuff in his boat. But it's so I mean, I love doing it too, man. It's just like relaxing. It's one of those things that's so zen. And like knowing that you don't have to be anywhere. You can
yeah,
just sit and troll these fish and just, you know what I mean? There's nothing more relaxing than that in the summertime.
yeah, yeah. It's when you're fishing for kings, you can kind of toss your bait out and just kind of let it sit there on the bottom and kind of cook a little bit, kind of wait for the big kings to come by. But when you're silver fishing or when you're flossing for reds, and when I say flossing, you're trying to rip the line through their mouth and hook them.
Mm-hmm.
It's a different kind of fishing. It's a very active. If you're fishing for silvers, down in Valdez or in a river, you're constantly casting, big lures and things of that nature. It's a very salmon fishing is very very active, except for king salmon. You can kind of relax.
Yeah.
Um, and if you go out on the boat in the ocean, well, then you just sit in the boat all day and troll and drink beer, and that's so much fun. Mooching for silvers and trolling for kings, and man, good, a lot of that's fun. Yep.
This is a first on the show, Jordan. We're talking about fishing. I've never done that before. Here we go.
I've watched probably, I don't know how many episodes I've watched of your show here, and I can't think of anyone that's talked about fishing.
No,
Man, I wish I had like a slide on the computer here or something where I could just scroll through all these photos of all these awesome fish that we've caught up here. And dip netting, that's another conversation we have to have. If you're an Alaska resident, you can do something called dip netting,
okay.
and you
What's that?
you have these huge nets, 3-4 foot wide nets, and and they're on a long pole, 15-20 foot pole sometimes. And what you do is you go down on the beach, and we live, Mary and I just live about a mile from the mouth of the Kenai River. And what you do is you walk down on the beach and you push your net out into the water, and then you wait for the fish to start swimming upstream, upriver, right? And then they swim into your net, and then you just pull them out, and process them. Just Google dip netting in the Kenai River, and you're going to see what is going on. And it's like it's a rush, man. It's really cool when you feel those fish run into your net and then you pull them out. And you can go out there and not catch one for hours and hours and hours. And then when the tide starts changing and the fish decide to run up, man, it's just like it's a rush. It's really cool. I can't. It's hard to describe it. And
Yeah.
it's just Google it. Watch some videos. Dip netting in the Kasilof River or dip netting in the Kenai River, which is where we go. Well, we go to the Kasilof also, but it's fun. It's something different.
That's cool, man. That's awesome. Well, let's get to talking about music and pedals and the nerdery that we love. I would talk about that stuff with you for another half an hour though. So Jordan, tell me, like, what is your earliest musical memory?
Oh man, I think. Oh man, that almost makes me tear up.
Yeah, that's fine.
my earliest, my earliest musical memories. Uh, I was a single child. Well, I have a half brother and I have a half sister. Well, I don't even call them half brother, half sister. They're full on
Their
sister. My
family.
brother and sister. Yeah, they're family, and they're quite a bit older than me because they were from my mom's first marriage, and so I kind of grew up as an only kid, really, mom and dad. And my dad was he restored old cars. It was kind of a hobby of his. It wasn't that he didn't do it for money. He did not do it for money. He restored old cars, and he and my mother started started the Classy Car Club in Pocatello, Idaho, like back in 1990, 1989, 1990, maybe 91. Uh, and I grew up in the back of a 51 Packard, a 54 Chrysler New Yorker, a 39 Buick, and my dad had 8 tracks in all of those. And my
Nice.
dad was a huge Waylon Jennings, Willie Nelson, um, uh, big fan of those guys. And my first musical memories are riding in the back of those old cars, listening to 8 track tapes of Waylon and Willie and Haggard and all those old country, uh, you know uh, Hank, Hank and Hank Jr. and those are my earliest memories of listening to music. That's
Okay.
it for me. Yeah.
Okay.
Now, oh, go ahead.
No, no, no. What were we gonna say?
I was going to say, as far as like guitar, when did I start getting into guitar? I think, I think I was probably around and this is showing my age. I'm
That's
I'm
fine, man.
41. Happy birthday, by the way.
Thanks, man.
I just turned 41 not too long ago myself.
Oh, happy birthday to you.
Yeah, thanks, bud. My wife actually got me this camera for my birthday.
Oh,
It's
heck
pretty
yeah,
cool.
man. It looks great. Well
Yeah,
done.
thanks. Uh, when it comes to guitar, I first started to get into guitar. I was probably 15 or 16 years old. I was working at a Pizza Hut in American Falls, Idaho. And my supervisor and other people that I worked with there were a lot older than me, you know, and they were into bands like Mother Love Bone, Temple of the Dog, right?
Heck yeah, man.
Green River, things like that. And that's when I discovered that type of music. And to this day, Mother Love Bone, Temple of the Dog. Um, those are kind of like my go-to. The Pumpkins,
Mm-hmm.
huge go-to. Pixies, uh, stuff like that. That's what I really and that's when I was like, man, I want to learn how to play guitar and be like these guys, right? So that's when I really started getting into guitar. In high school, we had a guitar 101 class that I took and uh, played a lot of guitar back then. Uh, and I played in a couple little high school bands. I didn't really play guitar in the bands. I always played bass. I always played bass in the bands that I was in high school, and then it's just kind of, well, hell, it's just kind of led up until now. Still
Mm-hmm.
doing it.
Yeah, man.
it's
It's
that's how it was for me.
It's funny because somebody always gets stuck like, well, you can play bass. You play guitar a little bit. You can play bass. You can handle 4 strings, right? And like, dang it, I want to play guitar, but somebody's got to pick up the mantle, right? It's like at some point, one of the members has got to do it. But that's cool. So like here, well, first of all, thank you to everybody that's here. Buddy's here, hanging out,
Oh, hey, buddy, what's up, dude?
and Jason's here. Loving the
Oh yeah.
Morris Fuzz. We're gonna get to the MMK pedal line in a little bit here, but thanks for everybody that's coming out. Thank you to BV for popping up all the links and moderating the chat per usual. So tell me, when you were kind of working in those bands playing bass, like at what point did you get to play guitar in a band like that you didn't have to play bass?
Well, it was I was in Boise. I spent my I think it was my sophomore year going to Eagle High School in Boise, Idaho, and that's where I played guitar in a little band. We called ourselves Enclave,
Okay.
and that's where I played guitar in a little band for about, I think it was only for about maybe 6 months, not very long. And then I moved back to American Falls with my mom, and that was it. That was the last time I ever played in a band. I've never in my adult life I've never played in a band. I've wanted to, but I've never, and it's my own fault. I've never made time to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Career took over, and I've never made time to do it. And here in Kenai, my wife and I, we're a fan, or we're friends with a few bands up here, and I've had a couple invites say, "Hey, why don't you come play guitar for us, or come play bass for us, um, come play baritone for us," and I just don't have the time.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't make the time, and there's even less time now. Mary and I, we have our little baby Jeremy now. He's going on 9 months old now. I think I told you that.
That's awesome.
Uh,
Yeah.
and there's just no time for it. And there maybe someday there will be. I would love to do it, and I've had the opportunities, but you know, just right now there's no time, and I keep reiterating myself, and I don't know why.
I think you'll get to it, man. It's weird because I feel like definitely the first year of a child's life, it's like we always talk about like it's you're in the trenches. Like I only have one kid, but
Yeah,
she's 13 now, so she's a bit
right.
older. But it was that first year was like, all right. My parents used to say this to us too. Like when you have children, they're just like, it's like you say to your partner, "See you in a year," because it's just like constant like stuff's going on, right? Um, Well, you know what I'm curious about? So, like, how the heck did you end up in Alaska?
Well, in 20, let's see, it would be 2020. Uh, no, hold on. I got to get my, not
You've
2020.
you've
Geez.
been there for 11
Um,
years, right? So, what would that be
yeah,
like,
right.
2013 or something?
2013. Um, so I entered by profession. I'm in RF engineer, field engineering for cellular companies. And I spent 10 years in Idaho working for a company called Direct Communications. And they're just a telecom company, fiber, T1, Ethernet, WISP, point to multi-point, point-to-point wireless microwave systems. That's what I worked with in 10 years. And then for 10 years, for the first 10 years of my career, and then 11 years ago, I decided to move up to Alaska and kind of jump into the cellular world. So that's what brought me up here was a new job working in Anchorage for a company called GCI, Gulf Charlie India, and that's what brought me up here was just work. And it's the same thing that I did in Idaho, just bigger radios, bigger dishes, but it's all RF. That's what brought me up here. I field engineer for GCI, and I work on microwave systems, fiber systems, cellular, anything that makes this little doohickey right here work is
Mhm.
what I work on. And
Okay.
that's what brought me up here, and I'm so happy that I did. There's not a whole lot of difference between Idaho and Alaska. The only big differences are we got more daylight, and the fish are a little bit bigger.
And the bears are around.
Oh yeah,
I would be scared of that. Freak me out,
we
man.
got yeah, we've been down on the Kenai just last year. Oh, this is a funny story. Maybe this was 2 years ago. Yeah, 2 years ago, Mary and I were walking up and down the Russian River. It's a very popular people all over the world. You'll find people down there fishing. Just Google it, Russian River salmon fishing. It's really cool. And we were down there walking, and this guy he wasn't running on the boardwalk, but it was a very he was like,
Brisk
"Man, I got to
walk.
get out of here." A brisk walk. He was pretty freaked out, and he stopped. And I don't know where he was from, but he stopped and talked to us. He's like, "Hey guys, there's bears down there. You better not go down there." Well, we're just kind of used to it now. And yes, you need to exercise caution. Bear spray or a large caliber handgun is a really good idea. I think bear spray is more effective
Hmm.
um, than like a big pistol.
Do guns
Uh,
just
uh,
piss them off?
if you miss,
Yeah.
if you miss, that's a bad thing. And
Mhm.
even if you hit them, those are big animals.
Yeah.
And even if you hit them right in the boiler room, they're still going to come at you. And bears, their noses are just so strong.
Mhm.
You hit them with pepper spray, man, and they immediately about face see you. And it's just very, very effective. And even if you do miss, it's so strong. I don't know if you've ever been sprayed with bear spray.
Nope.
I have. That was a mistake. That's another story. That's another story. Total accident, but I got sprayed on the back of the head, man, and that was rough. Anyways, you know, it's really not that big of a deal. Exercise caution. Don't get too close. If there's cubs around, exercise a little bit more caution. Have bear spray, and you don't be dumb.
Right.
Um, don't try to run up to a bear and slap it on the butt. I did that
People
once.
do that?
That's a
You did
true
that?
story too.
What?
That's another story, man. Dude, I'm full of them.
Oh, man.
Uh, don't do that. And you're gonna be okay. I have lots of videos of me fishing with the bears, and you just kind of let them, you leave them alone.
Right. Mhm.
Don't leave them alone, give them their space, and you can learn when the bear is just kind of being curious, and you can learn when the bear is being serious about wanting to take your fish that are at your feet. And
Right.
if they do, you just let them.
You
You
let
just walk
yeah.
away. And that's happened in king salmon. That happened to me once in king salmon where I just let him take it.
Mhm.
And yeah, man,
That's nuts, dude. I can't
interesting life.
we were there's so many my wife is a big backpacker, like, she's done, like,
Yeah.
super backcountry, hiking. And I'll be completely honest, and I'll own this. I would rather be sitting on a beach, like on the ocean kind of thing, and chilling out. Like, I am not a backpacker. It's not my vibe. But she's
Mhm.
done it a lot, and she has told me many crazy stories, whether it be, bears, or like they came across a rattlesnake and they couldn't see because the brush was up so high, but they just heard the
Oh,
and they were like,
yeah.
stuff like that. And I'm just like, yeah, no, thank you. Like, I will never be going on those trips with you. And now that we have a child, I don't know that you should be doing that either. But yeah, man, she wants to go to Alaska because, she loves the outdoors and all that. And I was like, I'm down, but like, we need to, like, if we go there and there's any bear sighting anywhere near like where we're gonna be, I will not be going with you with you guys because I'm a big old baby. But like, that's like the wilderness, man. Like, I feel like
Yeah.
Alaska, what I think of as Alaska is like the most wild place in the United States.
It's we have a lot of backcountry, 23 scenic rivers, or 27, I think it's called. Uh, it's huge.
Yeah.
It's enormous. And in my job, up until I met Mary, I traveled 35, 40 weeks out of the year, and I'm not kidding.
Oh
I
wow.
traveled that much, and I've been from Ketchikan, the very southeastern part you can go, from Ketchikan up to Barrow, the very northernmost part of Alaska, and then all the way out to Adak, where you're, pretty darn close to Japan, really.
That's
And
nuts.
I've been everywhere in between 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times. I've been all over this state, and there are, man, I could go on and on, but there's just some really cool stuff up here. And if you're a backpacker, hike Johnson Pass, Crow Pass. Um, there's a list a mile long
I'm
of
sure.
really cool hikes up here, man. You'd have a blast, and you'd be okay. Bring bear spray, exercise some caution, dude. Just you
Right.
gotta try it. You
Yeah,
gotta bring her up here and just try it. Give me a call though when and if you do, call me because I know this state, and my wife is from here, right?
okay.
She knows the state just as well as I do, and I've been places where she hasn't been, and she's been places where I haven't been, and we man, we should start a tour guide business also.
Totally, dude. Yeah. I mean, that's the thing is like, and after we hit 40 and we're like now officially in our mid 40s, we were talking recently about like bucket lists, we got to start doing this, right? Cuz like we're not going to want to hike in Alaska when we're in our 60s. Like,
Right?
now's the time. So it's like Alaska's at the top of the list, and so is Australia. And I was like the same thing. I was like, man, Australia has like spiders that'll kill you, or like,
Yeah.
talk about snakes. So I'm a big baby when it comes to the outdoors, unless I'm on a surfboard in the ocean. I don't care for some reason about sharks. I don't know why, but like that doesn't bother me as much. Um, but yeah, bears for real, and snakes, no thank you. No thank you,
Yeah,
man.
I'm not too crazy about snakes either.
Yeah,
Like I
man.
said, I grew up in Idaho, right? And we don't have snakes up here in Alaska.
Mhm.
But, back home in Idaho, I was a big I did a lot of hunting, and I haven't hunted since I've been up here in Alaska because I fell in love with salmon fishing. But
Mhm.
back home in Idaho, there wasn't any time I didn't have a rifle on the front of my four-wheeler, and I was hunting mule deer or coyotes or pheasants or ducks or geese or whatever,
Mhm.
rifle or shotgun. And I did a lot of antelope hunting in Wyoming, and I would run into rattlesnakes all the time. And
Ugh.
I hate those little things, those
Oh,
little
dude.
buggers.
Look
Do
at
not
it.
like them.
Leave them alone. Proceeds to smack barrel in the ass.
Dude, I really tried it. I really tried it. I could tell you the story if you wanted me to take 5 minutes to do it, but I
Let's
really tried. I
let's
was unsuccessful, but I got so close.
well, let's jump. I want to jump into your company because
Yeah.
speaking of Buddy was the first person that I saw playing the red cream soda, and he actually like sent me a message and was like, dude, I think you would love this pedal. Like, no shit, like, I'm not blowing smoke. I think this is something that is right up your alley. And then when I finally got one, I was like, okay, I get it. Like, I understand. And when I did that video this past weekend, I mean, for some reason, that pedal loves my 335. I mean, it sounds great with my Strat too, But like something about the symbiotic relationship between those humbuckers and that guitar and what that pedal does. And I said it in the video, but dude, I have used it as my always on several gigs that I have done lately that had a backline situation because it was like a festival or something,
Yeah.
and it saved my ass. So like,
Nice.
tell me a little bit about like how the company got started, and like, let's jump into that pedal as a first discussion.
Okay, let's jump into that. All
Yeah.
right. Well, I have been building fuzzes and little tone benders on Vero board, just kind of point to point wiring things for a really, really, really long time. Probably close to, man, I'd say probably about 15, 16 years. I've been building little fuzzes and little tone benders. Not so much with op amps. Op amps for me are very, very new. Haven't messed with those a whole lot. It's all been transistor based boxes that I've played around with. And yeah, you can't see it, but I've probably got, and I don't have the biggest pedal collection in the world, but I've got probably close to, uh, I've probably got close to about 150 pedals.
Okay.
And I've got 4 guitars. I've got 6 or 7 amps. Uh, and one day Mary was, yeah, and she sees me. She sees me watching all these videos. She watches me watch JHS and the JHS show, and she watches me watch Zach and Rhett Scholl. God, I love that guy. I'd love to meet him someday.
Yeah.
Watching Rhett and that pedal show. I love that pedal show and Andertons. And she sees me watching all of these pedal shows. I mean, we're driving down the highway and I have the phone sitting. I shouldn't say that. I have the phone sitting up in the dashboard,
And you're
and I'm
listening
not
to it. You're
necessarily.
not watching
I'm
it.
listening to it. Right. You know, she sees me doing this, and she sees me on Instagram looking at all these people building pedals, and she's like, "You should do it." And I kind of have a knack for electronics. I've been worked in my electronics for the last 20 years. Kind of have, I've operated, cable line sweepers and spectrum analyzers and oscilloscopes my whole life. I'm a ham radio operator. Much of my schooling in electronics came from ham radio. I've been a ham radio operator for a long time.
From working on
Uh,
them? Like from working on them?
Working on old kits like old Heath kits and things like that.
Okay.
Yeah, but I haven't done that as much as build pedals. Yeah, I've built radios and stuff, Heath kits and things like that. Little AM transistor radios and things like that. But it's mostly I've been focusing on pedals when I was building electronics and still am. I got a lot of my schooling from that also. Plus, working in the radio industry for so long, RF, learned a lot of theory from that. Uh, and she's like, "Hey, you should just give it a shot." And I also have metalworking background. I'm a graduate from the Colorado School of Trades. It's a gunsmithing school in Lakewood, Colorado. So I have a lot of metal work. Probably got 1,000 hours on a 1240 lathe and 1,000 hours on a vertical knee mill. Big Bridgeport. So I got a lot of metal experience. And so I was like, well, I'm going to build my own enclosures. If I'm going to do this, I'll build my own, have them powder coated, watched a few videos on how to screen print them myself. So I decided to do it. And that's what I think the very first one I ever built was probably, well, after we started the company, built a little blues breaker. I called it the Blueberry Drive. I haven't released that one. There's only one guy out there that has it, and he likes it. Maybe someday I'll touch. It's transparent, blues breaker
You should, dude. That's
type
one of my
circuit.
favorite circuits now. It's like it never used to be, but like I keep coming back to the JHS Morning Glory. It's
Yeah,
for
yeah,
the money. I mean, it's one of the best overdrive like blues breaker type circuits I think I've ever messed with.
yeah.
And I keep coming back to it. Okay, sorry, not to digress, but you should
Oh,
do it.
you're all right.
You should put it out.
That, yeah. I mean, Yeah, I think I probably will. It was yeah, it's a TL072 op amp with a TL071 on it also. Cool little transparent overdrive. Um, then after that one I built, after the company was started, after I built that one, kind of played around with it a little bit. Stumbled upon, the Way Huge Red Llama,
Oh
awesome
yeah.
pedal. And I built a few of those, and I was kind of like, I like it, but I'm not like crazy about it. Uh, So I started researching the inverter chip, the 4049 inverter chip, a little bit more, and found a schematic out there. Uh, the Noel, the Way Huge, the Stone Gray, the UBE Screamer, and kind of looked at that and started playing around with that a whole bunch, and then presto, now we have the red cream soda.
Huh.
uh that's, yeah, it's a derivative of Stone Gray. You know, it uses 4 stages of the hex inverter chip, 5, actually, 5. It's got a clean signal path on it. Really, it's a little different. It's something a little bit different, and that's when I was like, this is the way I want to go with it. There's a lot of pedals out there with the 4049. Well, not a lot, but there's a few pedals out there with the 49 chip, and they've kind of went with you know the uh the uh the Red Llama route, and I decided to take it a little bit different. And yeah, that's kind of where it came from, and that's how I got into building pedals, ham radio, working with microwaves, and my wife saying, "Hey, you ought to try it. You ought to try and do it." And then gunsmithing school
There you go.
for my metalworking skills.
That's so cool, man. So all these pedals, like you're kind of doing all the enclosures yourself,
Yes,
man.
except
All the
PNP.
arc.
P&P boost, I am doing those off of 1590 B3 enclosures, the Hammonds. But
Okay.
the red cream soda and the Norris Fuzz, those are all enclosures that I've built myself. Yep.
Are those enclosures? I don't have the Norse Fuzz, but are those the same size? The red cream soda, and then they look like they're the same size from what I
Yep.
can tell. Okay.
Same exact footprint. Yep.
Okay.
Same exact footprint, just 3 holes instead of 2. Yep. On the red cream soda.
Do you regret doing all that on your own, or you like, I actually like it? Because like for me, I would feel like after a while it would get so tedious, but like it seems like you genuinely like it.
I do. I
Yeah.
like metal work, but I will admit there's times I come in from the shop and I'm like, man, I don't want to do this.
But I
when
mean,
you're out there, when you're out there for 10, 12 hours straight, but breaking enclosures and then blasting them in the bead blaster cabinet, it gets hot. The air
yeah.
compressors put off a lot of heat. It starts getting warm, and especially when it's summer, the garage heats up, and yeah, it does get kind of tedious. But generally speaking, I do enjoy metal work,
Okay.
and so it's kind of, I'm not a cabinet maker, but it's kind of the same thing. It's kind of an art, and it's
Mhm.
fun. Yeah.
I mean, I was gonna say like it's because the lines I was trying to find because I pulled it out. Let me see if it's here. No, here it is. So the lines on this and like how neat the red cream soda is just it is. It's very much like a piece of art, I think.
Thank
And
you.
like I love the knobs. I'm a big knob guy.
Yeah, me too.
So go ahead and
Me
put that
too.
take that out of context, everybody, and you can make that the next meme. Um, but there's something about the aesthetics of this that are just so pleasing. And like how much time and energy went into you coming up with like the actual artwork for this? Because it's one thing to build the circuit and to like get to a place where you feel, okay, I think I can put this out in the world and I'm proud of it.
Right.
But like then you got to be like, what's it gonna look like? Like how did you get there?
Well, I decided to call it the red cream soda because Red Llama. Okay, try to follow me on this.
Mhm.
I'm not the best at getting my thoughts in my head out of my mouth.
Me
I'm
either.
not the best at it.
You're in good
But
company,
think
no
of it like
worries.
this: Red Llama CD 4049 chip, That's the red in the red cream soda. The cream is Scream Tube Screamer, and my favorite pop is red cream soda.
Okay,
So
there you go.
that's kind of where that came from. And I it originally I said, okay, I'm going to call it the red cream soda. And I came up with a couple little drawings of what I thought it was going to kind of be like. Let's see here. They're over there on the other side of the room. But the idea came from Mary for red cream soda. Uh, I said, hey, I'm going to call it the red cream soda, and she's like, you should have bubbles on it that are
Oh,
going from the
nice.
bottom to the top. And I'm like, oh, okay, cool. That's a great idea. So the idea actually came from her. So what I did was, and really it was, and I'll be honest with you, it didn't take a whole lot of time to come up with the artwork for that one
Mhm.
because Mary did it. She
Oh,
said,
cool.
hey, let's do bubbles going from the bottom to the top. And I'm like, okay, cool. So I went ahead and uh, I bought a little Cricket Joy for like $80 off of someone over by U-Haul. And I started making little bubbles on the Cricut software, and I printed it out and I overlaid it onto a mock pedal that I built. And I'm like, this is kind of close, but it needs a little bit more. So Mary and I contacted a local artist, and she took the idea, she took the base idea and then just kind of expanded on it. And really what she did is she just kind of took all the bubbles and put little, put little she took all the bubbles. I actually got one right here.
Yeah.
This is the first one.
Oh,
She
nice.
took the bubbles and put the little squiggly on the bubble just to kind of make it more look more like a bubble.
Mhm.
And she selected like 6 or 7 different fonts that we selected together. Mary actually selected the top font and the bottom font are actually different, but it
Oh,
doesn't.
okay.
But they still fit very, very well together. And the Shake, Treb, and Fizz was actually the font of red cream soda, but it didn't look right. So I picked. I oh no, she picked the other a different font for Shake, Treb, and Fizz, and we stuck with the red cream soda. But from start to finish, it probably took 3-4 weeks to kind of
Oh,
put
okay.
all together. From initial thought bubbles to an actual, to an actual something that we could print out and put on the pedal. That was about a month. Yeah, it took about a month, um, and probably quite a few hours of real hard thinking of how we wanted it to look.
How long was the
Part of the
pedal in development? Like, how many like, was it a year and a half, 2 years of, like, working it out, or
I spent probably close to 6 months with that one. It started out as a red llama topology, and then it changed. Oh, I don't even remember, dude. Not now.
Yeah.
I don't remember. Probably 6 months of pick capacitor, switch capacitor, switch, you know, resistor, you know, low
Mhm.
pass filter here, high pass filter here, uh, B50K, B100K, B500K, B250, trying them all out.
Mhm.
It took a little bit of time to figure all that out. There was probably over a 6 month period. There was probably, I'd say, 10 to 12, 10 to 12 uh, 10-hour sessions where I lock myself in a room and just go at it. And
Yeah.
that's how I operate. That's what I do. Um, I won't necessarily. I do more thinking about it than execution. I'll think about changes that I want to make for for a few days, sometimes a week,
Mm.
and then I'll kind of work it in my head, and then I'll say, hey, I'm going into the guitar room here, and I'll lock myself in here for 10 hours straight and just
Wow.
go, and just go, and then I might take a break for a couple days, think about other little things that I want to do again, and then do it over and over and over and over until you get a product. I did that with P&P Boost too.
Yeah.
That one took a few sessions to get the frequency knob right. I was not happy with the traditional was not happy with the traditional, some guys will put, three input caps, three different, maybe a 5, a 10, a 15, or maybe they'll put them on a potentiometer so you can pan between them. I was not happy with it, and I went through 3 or 4 variations before I decided to just stick with one input cap, and then I started looking on the output, and then that's when I found it. And then I'm like, oh, there it is, right
Yeah.
there. Takes time, a lot of
Let's
time, man.
let's talk about those because so you're nice enough to let me borrow these to check them out. And so when you like are trying to do something like this, where you're coming up with an idea for a treble booster ish type pedal, because like I'm always curious for you builders, like, because I'm sure people don't want to just like, you're not reinventing the wheel, like you don't want to consistently just do something that's already been done.
Right.
So when you're doing a circuit that exists in the ether, but you're like, I'm doing my own thing. Oh, by the way, I love your logo. It's so cool.
Do you?
I love it.
Nice.
I love it because it's like a circuit board, but it's like a deer, right?
Yeah, it's a
Yeah.
deer. I grew up mule deer hunting.
Yeah. I love it,
Yep.
dude. I mean, like I think, I mean, do you have shirts?
What?
Do you have any shirts? Like for your
Shirts?
company?
Oh,
Yeah.
dude, I thought you said something different,
Oh,
man.
no, no, no.
No.
Yeah, that would be cool. It would be cool on a t-shirt, man, or or a hat or whatever, even like a beanie, that would be cool.
I I'd
But
like to do a merch line. I just haven't pulled the trigger on it yet, but I'm going to. I don't have shirts, but I need to.
well, tell me a little bit about like how do you not do something that's already been done before, and like in terms of like what are you hearing in your head that you want to be different that you think can modernize that, circuit?
Boy, that's 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 an easy and tough question to answer. The easy answer is you want to do something different to try to stick out in a crowd, right? And how you do it, it's all by listen and feel, you know. Um, the reason I did P&P Boost is because of that matchless chief that I have. Um, it is an awesome amp, and I actually talked with another content creator about this, and he kind of reaffirmed what was going on. That matchless chief amp that I have is not an awesome pedal platform.
Hmm.
Um, it does not take pedals very well. And here, well, when did the here a few months ago? Well, no, it's been probably closer to at least a year, maybe a year and a half. JHS came out with that germanium boost,
Yeah,
right?
that's cool.
And it's cool. I love mine. I think weren't you just talking about that pedal?
I just got one
Yeah,
not too long ago, like maybe like 6, 7 months ago. Josh was nice enough to send me one because we're both huge fans of Dawes and Taylor Goldsmith. That's
yeah,
what he uses in his rig.
yep. I
So,
remember now.
but it's a great pedal. I mean, it does something
Yeah,
that's completely different than what I'm used to in a cool way.
yep, yep, yep. Getting back on it, I bought one of those and I hooked it up to my matchless chief right there and completely blown away. It turned that amp into something completely different. On my JCM 800, I'm using a full drive 3. Um, on my JTM 45, not using anything on that. And
Right.
on my Fender Supersonic 100, I'm using a Protein. Uh, uh, and on my matchless chief, I'm using a germanium boost by JHS, and it was awesome. It turned that amp into something else. That's how I decided I wanted to do something with it. Um, but it wasn't. It did a really good job, but I felt like it didn't take that amp and really open it up completely. Um, and I decided to just try something a little bit different. Tried lower gain transistors, higher gain transistor than the norm, and I found a sweet spot with the frequency knob, the tone shaping, and that's man, I it's it's all feel. So how do I do it? It was because of a need.
Mm.
I saw a need for that specific amp, right? And I decided to act on it. That's how I came up with that pedal. That's why I created that circuit. I had a really good option. I wanted an option that was a little bit better, and I wanted better frequency tone shaping. So that's why I decided to do the PNP boost. And you know the switch on the germanium boost by JHS is awesome. I think it goes between a 5 and a 15 input cap, nanofarad input cap, and it worked really really well. But I wanted something that would be just a little bit more. Just
Mm-hmm.
give me a little bit more, open the field up a little bit more to play. I was a big soccer player in high school.
Nice.
Open up that field a little bit wider, use the entire field. And it was just out of a need.
Yeah.
Can't say any more than that.
Yeah. That's sometimes the best stuff comes out of that, right? I mean, it's like you don't have what you need, so like you're a smart enough dude that you're gonna be like, I can do that. I can make that happen.
Yeah.
Do you
That's,
when you're testing these pedals, like do you test them through like the supersonic, something that's flatter that will work with like a bunch of different amps, or do you feel like this
yeah.
is specifically works well with this type of power tube, or like how do you decide what you're testing this stuff on?
How do I decide? Uh, I try to do them all. You know, I try to run them through my AC30 that are my AC30 CCH over here. I run it through my supersonic on the Showman circuit. I run it through the JCM. I run it through the JTM 45. I run it through all of them. How do I decide? I want to make a product that has the best chance of working for everything. But sometimes that's not the best way to do it. Sometimes you should just pick an amp and be like, hey guys, this is going to be for a Fender,
Right.
or this works really, really well for a match. If you have a matchless chief or a chieftain, that's going to work well for that. So, I mean, as a pedal builder, you want to try to produce a product that'll work through a wide range of amps, but sometimes it just doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
The red cream soda on my matchless chief, nope, nope, sounds horrible.
Really?
Does not go well at all. Nope. Loves my Fender Supersonic, um, uh, all day long, but it does not like the matchless chief. There's only one gain stage pedal that really works well with that matchless chief that I have found, and it's a germanium boost or a silicon boost.
Man, that's crazy.
Just weird like that. Does that answer your question?
No, yeah, totally, dude. I mean, I'm going through a whole, maybe it's a midlife crisis. I don't know, Jordan, but it's like I'm trying to think about. I've never really owned a British voiced amp like a Marshall or something, and
Mhm.
there is part of me that thinks like when I step on a pedal, I kind of I don't know. I kind of lean into more of that compressed soft attack overdrive. Like I
Mhm.
don't really love super bright, punchy tones. I like stuff that's punchy but throaty, I would say, is more of my vibe. I do not like things to be overly bright. I really like a dark tone that can still be articulate, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And sometimes I'm like, and I love the Two Rock stuff has been like my dream amp, my whole life. So like the fact that I get to play through that Bloomfield drive on a gig and every pedal you throw at that thing, it sounds great.
Yeah.
Um, but like I kind of I'd like to have a Marshall or something that's like more British voiced. And I don't know if it's leaning more Voxy or more Marshall, but that new PRS David Grissom 15-watt amp, that thing have you heard that? That
Nope.
thing
Have
sounds
not.
it sounds dope. And like David Grissom is a huge Vox guy. And I think that's mostly what his amps were kind of leaning more towards. Like when you're talking like British voiced, I think that's his 30-watt amp, and I think this amp is more of that topography of like the Vox thing.
Yeah.
But it's interesting that you're saying that stuff about like this works better with this, works better with this, because That's the thing, is like someone might get a pedal thinking they're gonna love it, but their amp can't handle it, or their amp doesn't play well with pedals. But they don't know that because they're a young player and they're not aware yet. So it's interesting to hear you talk about, sometimes things aren't gonna work well with other things, and
It
that's
happens.
okay. It's like my vet told me today when I took my dog to the vet. He's got like he's not good with other dogs, and he's not good when we go to try to take him on the trail and walk, even with people, because he's like super protective of us. He would never bite anyone, I don't think. But she was like, some dogs are just not meant to be good with other dogs. Like, he's an Aussie. He's meant to be
Yeah.
like herding cattle and, like sheep and stuff. So it's like he's like a lone wolf in a way. But it's the same concept, man. It's weird.
And yeah, and sometimes you got to take that dog and just really really work with it. And some pedals just out of the box just work awesome
Mm-hmm.
uh, with an amp, and you don't really have to do anything with it. And then sometimes you take a pedal out of box and hook it up to a picky amp, and then uh, you got to spend 20 minutes playing around with it until you found that nice little harmonic sweet spot. You
Mm-hmm.
know, I love what Billy Corgan w- said that one time. You ever seen his video on the JCM 800 and the Big Muff?
No.
He's like, "Hey, I hooked it up into the high gain, and it was just killed. It was just horrible. Didn't sound great." And then he said he went ahead and put it into the low gain channel of the JCM 800 and played around with the sustain knob on it, and then poof, there it was, Siamese Dream. Right? It was just like that. So eh, sometimes it's just like that, and that's a perfect example. And sometimes, maybe that red cream soda would work with that matchless if I just played with it a whole lot more.
Right.
but I just
Who's
haven't
got
found
time
that
for
sweet
that?
spot on it. Well, not when I can hook up a awesome germanium boost to it, and it's just automatically bam there.
Yeah.
You know, if an alien came down and said, "Jordan, show me the perfect guitar tone," I'd be like, my Strat, uh, Mattress Chief, and that JHS germanium booster. And that would be it. I'd be like, "That's it, buddy. That's what you came down here for."
Now get that probe out of there.
Yeah, best advice. It's a hobby. Have the expectation that every pedal isn't going to work the best. And I've got pedals in this room that don't work. Um, some examples. Man, I've got some that are super, super popular, and I'm not going to name names. I'm not out to down anyone, but I've got some super popular pedals that don't work good with some of these amps. And
mhm.
then I've got some no-name ones that do work really, really well, and vice versa. It's just my advice is just take time, and this is fun. This
Yeah.
is cool. Guitar is cool. Pedals are cool. Amps are cool. It's fun being a circuit builder and designer. It's fun messing with pedals. If you don't like something, maybe just try it a little bit more. Just try to push through, push through
Mhm.
a little bit. Your long distance runner and that last kilometer, just push, just do it.
Yeah, man. And I'll say this one last time for everybody, but like I would highly recommend picking up one of these, because there is not only the utility of how great it will sound for you in general, but Jordan, the one of the gigs that I did was on a very big stage, and they had a back line, and they sent us the
Wow.
back line, and the back line was they said they were Fender Deluxe amps, and I was like, oh sweet, that'll be great. And then we show up, and it's like those terrible deluxes, like the deluxe, like the oh man, what were they called? Like the DeVille era of the deluxe, which are notoriously terrible amps. Because you can't, like on 1.5, they're screaming loud,
Yep.
and there's no, like, the master volume is like on it. But I was like, that's okay, because I have this, and I can get it, like, if I just put the gain down at like 8 o'clock or whatever, and
Yeah.
juice this volume and use it almost like as an attenuator, in a way, like I just kind of backed into it and worked it out. And now, granted, I don't know how other people handled it, because we were the first band on the bill that day. It was an awards show. Um, So I was able to get up there and tweak it before the audience got in and set it and forget it kind of thing.
Right.
But man, it sounded great. It was just exactly how I'd want to. I could feel the amp, where if you can't, and then there's a lot of players that will identify with this, but like when you're on a big stage, it's hard when your band's all spread out. I hate that, dude. If I ever get to play big stages for the long haul, I never want to be completely spread out and like use the whole stage. Screw that, dude. I want to be just like it is when you're in the basement practicing with your friends in high school, where you're all just like right together and you can feel everything that everybody's doing. But that's how that felt to me. And even though we were spread out, I could get it coming through the monitor, which obviously, dude, like I hate that sound. That's so shrill that like, because it's that high cut that they want you to be able to cut through to hear it,
Yeah.
But I was able to tame it and shape it with that being my bass tone. So I would say for anybody, any guitarist who needs a secret weapon like that, this is a great tool for that. And then when you get to use your own rig, it's a great tool for your overdrive to rip faces off. So it's really awesome, dude.
Well, I appreciate that, and thank you. That's really good to hear. And there's been a few guys out there that have reached out to me and shared some really good news about it. And we like it. It's a really cool drive. I know this. I'm not trying to toot my horn here, but
Toot
I
it,
am
bro.
going to try to toot my wife's horn. That sounds bad. When I'm sitting, and it kind of fits into what you felt on the stage, the other day when you were using it, kind of ties in. So stick with me here. Um, some when I'm in the room here developing a circuit, when I'm working on P&P Boost or Red Cream Soda or Norris Fuzz or a whole bunch of other ones, but my wife, and she's a wonderful lady, but she's not a big musical person. Oh God, I hope she's not watching right now. She's not a huge person, but sometimes she'll be sitting in the rocking chair out there and she'll be like, that sounds good. And that's yeah, and
Nice.
that's when I'm like, "Oh,
I'm on to
okay.
something. Yeah.
So I'm on to something right now." And she did that at one point with the Red Cream Soda. She did that with P&P Boost. I don't know if she did it with Norris Fuzz, but she definitely did do it with Red Cream Soda and P&P Boost. And she screamed, well, not screamed, but she yelled from the living room, "That's it. That sounds good right there." That's when I'm on to it, and you can just kind of feel it, in the room. Well, when you nail something,
Yeah,
just
man.
kind of like how you were feeling it on stage, and it, man, it's so. You asked a question earlier. What did you ask? Oh man, I don't remember now, but it's like, how do you design a circuit? It's like a lot of it is feel.
I
Oh,
think I think you're
there
busted.
she is. I'm busted. It is a lot of feel. You can look at an oscilloscope or a spec an all day long and look at things. Um, but when it comes down to it, you got to analyze each part of the circuit from start to finish and see what each part of the circuit is doing at different times at different strokes. And it is a lot of feel. Um, you know, and it, yeah, it's very easy these days to go ahead and get a circuit off the internet and throw it on a breadboard and toss it into a pedal and play it and have fun. Um, and that's cool. There's nothing wrong with that. That's how I started years and years ago. Um, but take it to the next level. It's a lot of feel and sound in the room, and how you can just feel it when you're. It's like when I figured out how to do frequency on when I figured out how to do frequency on the P&P Boost. I was doing it one way. I tried another way, and then that was it. And I got excited. I'm like, that's it. I found it. Oh, it's right there. That's how I want that frequency knob to be. And it's super versatile now.
Yeah.
Yeah, here I go off on another, yeah, blah blah blah.
No, not at all, Jordan. I mean, well, the short story to this is like, I mean, I'm really thankful that we've connected and through Buddy. Buddy's hooked me up with
Yeah,
so many great people to have on this show and everything. And it's so inspiring to watch what the passion that you guys have inside of you can create. you know,
Yeah.
because like what you're creating is inspiration for players. And I'll forever be grateful for that because it keeps guitar, like you said. What's the whole point of this stuff? It's to have fun.
Fun. Yeah.
That's the thing, is like, why did you get into music in the first place? It brought me joy. It got me out of like, well, we didn't grow up with cell phones and like stuff. We grew up with I grew up with a Nintendo Entertainment System, but like,
Yep.
but I didn't grow up with, all the distractions that my daughter's growing up with in this world. So like music was and will always be home base for me. And it's where I escape to when I'm feeling down to bring me up.
Yeah.
It's where I escape to, like when I lost my father and I, went and played my guitar and I wrote a great song about my dad, and like it helped me. It was cathartic. Music is so powerful. I guess is what I'm trying to
Oh,
communicate. And you guys are providing that fun and that inspiration and that home base on so many different levels for so many different players. You know what I mean?
absolutely.
And that is beautiful. And I, thank you for your time. And let's jump into the lightning round get down. I don't want to gush on you too much, but thank you for doing what you do, buddy.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Those are
Yeah,
kind
man.
words.
Yeah, no problem, man. All right. So you've seen this show, so you know what I'm going to do probably, but we are going to do the lightning round get down. I'm going to ask you 10 questions.
I'm super
And
pumped.
and you know the drill. You can explain your answers if you want. You don't have to.
Okay.
I'm going to change this up next season. I'm going to tell everybody right now. Next season, this first question is going to get axed. We're going to stop doing this one, but this season we'll continue with Lennon or McCartney.
Oh, I knew that you were going to ask this one. And I'm going to be honest, I have never been a huge Beatles listener. I mean, I appreciate what they did. They laid the foundation for all kinds of what we see today. But I can't I'm going to say this. Would we have had McCartney if we didn't have Lennon, and would we have had Lennon if we didn't have McCartney? I mean, I'm sure that I just think there's a few Beatles songs out there that I really, really like. And there's a few John Lennon songs out there that I really, really like. And I think they probably helped each other at some point get to where they got, right? And where Paul is, where Paul is today, you know, just a master. So I like them both. I'm going to go with that route because I really don't have a huge preference, but I think that they both can probably be given equal amounts of appreciation and credit, if you ask me. Well, am I?
But
I gotta be honest. I'm not gonna sit up here and like blow smoke up your.
no. You know what's
I'm
funny
gonna
is
be honest. I'm not gonna lie.
no. I appreciate that about you. It's funny because like when I've asked that question in the past, for some people they say like if they're in that boat, they say George Harrison. Like, all right.
Oh, now I was thinking about that also. I
Yeah.
did think about that the other day. I'm like, oh, what if I just said Ringo?
Yeah,
You
man.
know,
That's
I
fine.
mean, such a unique drumming style. And George Harrison. Oh man, there's a at my local guitar store. There's a George Harrison. Well, not local here to where in Kenai, where we live, but in Anchorage, he's got a George Harrison, Rickenbacker or
Oh,
Rickenbacker, and
nice.
I'd love to have that black and white, super nice guitar,
Oh, that's
and
cool.
you know, um,
It's vibey, man.
yeah,
All
maybe
right.
I should have just said Ringo.
No, you're good. I like where you're going with that. All right, here maybe this one will be a little bit easier.
Okay.
Zeppelin or Sabbath?
Oh, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go Sabbath. Yeah,
Oh, okay.
yeah.
All right.
I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go Sabbath for
All right.
sure. Yep.
All right. Here's a funny 3 in a row. Hard or soft pretzels?
Oh, soft.
Okay.
Love soft pretzels with nacho cheese with the Frito Lay
Ooh.
jalapeno nacho cheese, giant
Ooh.
ones.
Look at you.
Yeah. Right.
That sounds good.
Yeah,
That sounds
man.
good.
Yeah, we buy those by the box.
Nice. Hard or soft clipping?
Oh, I gotta go. I gotta go hard clippers.
Okay. All
Yeah,
right.
I gotta go hard clippers. Yeah, I like hard clipping pedals.
All right.
Norris Fuzz, I added a hard clipper section to the back of the circuit. Um, Sounds really good. You know, the good old Centaur, um, Electra distortion, the circuit variants, and things like that. I'm working on a really cool one, an 18-volt Electra distortion that I'm really liking. Um, don't think that's not going to happen this year though, but playing around with that.
Nice.
Uh, uh, my I'm going to be coming out with another pedal here in about, hopefully within the next 2 or 3 months. It's also hard clipping. Uh, so I got to go with that. But, you know, Red Cream Soda, that's a soft clipper. It's
Yeah.
got a soft clip on it, a low gain stage with some soft clipping there.
I think that's
But
why I
I got
like
to
it.
go hard clipper. That's most of what I do is hard clipping pedals, and they sound great to me. And I have fun building them. So hard clipper it is.
All right, there we go. Here's the last hard or soft tacos.
Oh, mmm. Ah, nah, hard, crunchy shells. I
Okay.
like a good old crunchy shell, but I love a burrito. I mean, really. But
Yeah, me
yeah,
too.
I mean, I, Mary brought home burritos this morning, breakfast burritos. Granted, that's not
Mm,
a taco, right? But
right.
yeah, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go hard shell taco for sure. Yeah, like
Okay.
that hard shell.
And luckily we got into this in the beginning of the show, and I kind of figured being in Alaska, but fishing or hunting.
Oh man, when I was in my 20s, like I was, did we talk about this before the show or
I
when
don't
I
think
was
so.
in my early teen years and 20s, there wasn't a weekend in summer or winter when I wasn't running around with a shotgun or a little rifle on my four-wheeler shooting ducks or coyotes or whatever. I was always hunting mule deer. Love mule deer hunting. But since moving to Alaska, I fell in love with salmon fishing and I love to eat salmon. It is the best stuff if you know how to cook it right. And even
Oh,
if you
me too.
well, even if you don't know how to cook it right, as long as you don't overcook it, it's still going to be good. You
Yeah.
know, if you overcook it, it gets real rubbery, and then it's not fun to eat. But blah 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 blah. I'm going with salmon fishing because I love it. It's something my family and I love to do, and it's a blast. Salmon fishing is just so cool.
Heck
It's
yeah.
different.
Yeah,
It's
man.
different.
Radiohead or Pink Floyd?
Oh, I'm gonna go Pink Floyd.
Okay.
I'm gonna have to go Pink Floyd on that one.
All
Yeah,
right.
I love Radiohead. I do, but I really like, you know, I really like Pink Floyd. You know, The Wall, Dark Side of the Moon. Yeah, yeah, I gotta go Pink Floyd on that.
Ain't nothing wrong with that. Laser tag or paintball?
Oh man, those are both fun.
I know.
These are like all these questions. I could. This isn't cool because I could go either way on all of them. Honestly, uh, when I was probably from like the age of like 10 to 14, I was heavy into paintball. Down the road from my house, there was a it's not there anymore because it's all covered up by apartments, but there was a field just right down the road from my house, maybe quarter mile. And we would start at each end of the field, me and my buddies, Adam, Russell, Greg. I'm not going to say last names, but all my childhood friends, that little Haskin kid. we would we would we Spencer. We would start at each end of the field, and we bought our little. I think at the time we were probably like $60 Tipman, paintball guns, and we would go at each other. We'd dress up in as much sweatpants and sweatshirts as we could. We didn't have any of the armor. I think mom and dad made me wear a pair of welding goggles. I didn't have the helmet. Didn't have the helmet. We didn't necessarily have the big CO2 canisters. We just carried around a million of those little itty bitty ones, right? Like in BB guns.
Hmm.
Um, and we would shoot each other all day long and laugh doing it. And, and sometimes cry if you hit the sensitive kid.
Uh,
Uh, but laser tag was fun too. But I have more memories paintballing.
there we
I
go.
didn't do it for very long, but I'm gonna go paintball. Are we on a time limit?
No, we're good. We're good. But
All
this
right.
is this is the last one. So this is sometimes the hardest, sometimes the easiest.
Okay.
So if you could choose one album to erase from your memory, just so you could go back and listen to it for the first time again, what album would that be?
Oh man, one album.
One album, yeah.
You know, I talked a lot about earlier. I was talking about Mother Love Bone, Temple of the Dog, 10.
Mm-hmm.
You know, uh, Gish, Siamese Dream. But I'm gonna change it up. If I could if I could erase one and relive it, REM Orange? No. Counting Crows, August and Everything After. I love that
Oh,
album.
snap. Nice
I
one,
love
Jordan.
that album to this day. I don't listen to it as much as I should, but when A Murder of One comes on,
Oh,
or
yeah.
in my playlist, or Round Here, or Anna Begins, I become a better person.
Oh, man. Yeah,
And that is just such an awesome album. That would be that one.
that's a
Um,
good pull, man. That out
can I
of
give like two or three? Oh,
yeah,
sorry.
yeah, yeah, yeah. No, I was gonna say out of 180 odd episodes now, no one has ever said August and Everything After. And I would agree with you, man. Like one of the best records of the 90s.
Yeah.
I think when Josh Scott and I did, we picked our top 10 albums from the 90s, and
Mhm.
I'm pretty sure we both chose that as one of
Oh,
the top 10.
good.
And there's something just I don't know if it's like it has a retro soulful feel that was so left of center from everything else that was coming out at that time, if you think about it.
Yeah.
It's got B3 on it. It's, you know, the way it was recorded kind of feels like more from the 70s or even the late 60s kind of vibe. But yeah, that's a great record, dude.
I
Great.
love that. I love that. I remember watching when I was growing up, my mom made me go to church.
As they
And
do.
I can remember sitting in church when I was a little kid, and we'd always tell each other, we'd always talk about Saturday Night Live from the night before. So we're sitting in church Sunday morning, me and my little friends, you know, and we're like, "Hey, did you watch Saturday Night Live last night?" "Yeah, I stayed up for it." And I can remember watching Counting Crows, seeing Mr. Jones. You
Mm,
know, he's up there bouncing all around, and I was like, "That is so friggin' cool."
yeah, man.
And 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 now I kind of look at it, I'm like, "That's kind of dorky," but
It was a
the
different
way it
time, man. You know, it
it
was a
was a
different
different
time.
time. It
And
was a different time.
I would say too, man, Recovering the Satellites is also an amazing record. You know, like their first two albums really, really hit me hard.
Yeah,
You know, so I agree with you, man. That's a great record to pull from. So
right on. That's
nice.
cool. Another
Well,
another one would probably be. Oh, go ahead.
no, no, no. Go ahead. Yeah, give me one
Oh,
more because I don't want to hold you up.
give me one more.
Yeah,
Probably Gish,
yeah,
Smashing Pumpkins. I gotta talk about that one. I love Gish. That's just that's a great album also.
yeah.
Um, yeah. All right, I'll stop. I feel like we didn't talk about half the stuff that we need to do another one.
Yeah, we'll do it again for sure. I told you, man. Like I had a ton of like talking points, and sometimes I just don't get to them all because we just start talking about stuff that's let's just let it breathe and let it go in the way it wants to go, right?
Yeah.
Um,
Unscripted fun. This is
yeah, man.
something that's fun to listen to while you're doing an expense report, or doing a dumb paper that your boss needs you to work on, you
Oh
know?
man. Well, BV, thank you again for moderating the chat. Everybody, please hop on. Here's the Instagram account. Please hop on there and give them a follow and start checking out the products because it's really, as a guitarist, like I said, man, it's just they're making great stuff. Two-person operation there. You know, very small business as Buddy likes to support. We all want to support smaller businesses and let the cream rise to the top. Red cream soda, let that rise to the top, buddy. But Jordan, anything else you want to, kind of drop on the people? Any knowledge we want to find out about anything that's coming? I know you said you got some stuff coming. Don't go there, but the PNP boost, is that available now?
Oh yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
cool.
that's available now. I'm gonna be busy tonight building. That's gone over really well. It seems to be received really well. But thank you. This has been really, really cool. And
Yeah,
I
man.
hope to do it again.
Yeah, man.
And thanks for putting up with my I don't know what it is about me, but I
You're
get so excited inside, and then I just all over the place, man. It's how I am. It'd be cool if we could sit down with a few beers
oh,
and
heck
do
yeah.
this. It'd be even funner.
Oh, yeah, dude, we can do that. Well, the vinyl is spun, side B is done, my friend. Thank you so much, Jordan from MMK Electrics. Everybody else, take care of yourself, take care of each other. We'll see you next time.
Thanks.